After several years together, well-known wrestlers WWE superstar Roman Reigns and Ronda Rousey have officially announced their separation. Neither of them has publicly disclosed the reason behind the family conflict, according to those close to them. But the choice has already been made. Ronda Rousey will remain with her newborn child, while WWE superstar Roman Reigns' daughter will remain with her father. They both preferred to forge their own new life paths rather than discuss the issue extensively. For fans, this is really shocking news. Thousands of followers were once inspired by the pair's togetherness, but they are now on different paths. It is evident that both of them want to concentrate on their children's future and well-being, even though the cause of their disagreement or issues is still kept a secret. WWE superstar Roman and Ronda have stated their resolve to continue to be strong in both their personal and professional wrestling lives in spite of their split. Roman Reigns and Ronda Rousey were regarded as one of the most famous couples in wrestling for a long time. Supporters appreciated both their strength in the ring and their demeanor outside of it. Two fighters, seemingly unbeatable, raising a family while vying for fame in venues all over the world. However, life behind the scenes was not as idyllic as viewers had thought. It began quietly. WWE superstar Roman spent many nights traveling because he was dedicated to fulfilling the role as WWE's face. Interviews, training, championship defenses, appearances, and charity activities made up his hectic itinerary. He bore the burden of the business, but it became more and more heavy over time. In contrast, Ronda had withdrawn from the limelight following her pregnancy. As an Olympic medalist, UFC champion, and WWE celebrity, she had always been fiercely independent, but having a child had changed her priorities. Holding her newborn close, she felt the void of Roman's continual absence and wondered whether her spouse was losing touch with the life they had created together. Their daughter loved her father and stayed mostly with Roman because of his stability and strong family support. WWE superstar Roman tried his best to make her happy, including taking her to school in the mornings when he was home, telling her stories late at night, and supporting her during little plays. But he sensed the tension growing between Ronda and himself. Their once passionate and dream-sharing conversations had evolved into truncated discussions about obligations, schedules, and the needs of the kids. A private family get-together was the last straw. A minor argument about parenting choices turned into a full-fledged altercation. Ronda, who was fiery and emotional, maintained that love and presence were more important than everything else, while Roman, who was hard and austere, felt that stability and structure were essential. Their voices clashed, and those close to them realized it was an eruption that had been building for years, even though neither disclosed the specifics to the public. Thus, the choice was made. Ronda would stay with their newborn boy, while WWE superstar Roman would assume full responsibility of their daughter. It was about surviving, not about winners or losers. Even if it meant splitting up their family, both wanted to shield their kids from the maelstrom of their argument. The news spread quickly. Shocking headlines. Ronda Rousey and Roman Reigns split. Social media was inundated with sadness, incredulity, and conjecture from fans. How did two soldiers who seemed indestructible disintegrate? But only the two of them were aware of the reality, and they opted for silence rather than controversy. Although their personal lives diverged, neither of them let the split ruin their professions. Determined to demonstrate his ability to strike a balance between parenting and legacy, WWE superstar Roman threw himself even more into his reign. His presence in the ring now commands more respect than ever before, and his promos took on a darker tone. Meanwhile, Ronda surprised everyone by making an unexpected comeback to the ring. She said, her eyes burning, that being a mother had not made her weaker, but rather stronger. She fought with unadulterated emotion in every move she made in the ring, as though she were fighting for her child's future as much as for herself. Their stories ran parallel, even though they were no longer standing side by side. As the unflappable tribal chief, WWE superstar Roman bears the burden of accountability. Ronda, the unrelenting warrior, once again demonstrates her strength and value. Both of them are damaged, resolute, and unwilling to let grief to define them. The whole reason for the breakup would never be revealed to fans. Perhaps it was the conflict between two strong egos. Perhaps it was the cost of pressure, timetables, and celebrity. Or perhaps it was just life, human, complex, and unpredictable. However, there was no doubt that Ronda Rousey and WWE superstar Roman Reigns would live on as legends. Not only for their victories in the ring, but also for demonstrating that even the most formidable fighters struggle at home. And even though their lives had diverged, generations would be inspired by their wrestling and parenting legacies. But cams panned into place, and the SI studio lights now shimmered across the stage. There was a lot of anticipation, because this was no ordinary interview. Just a few days before the spectacular event of WrestleMania, WWE superstar Ronda Rousey, one of the most powerful female athletes in history, was seated across from WWE superstar Roman Reigns, the WWE's uncontested champion. Wearing a sleek black blazer over her trademark athletic tee, Ronda leaned forward a little with her trademark no-nonsense attitude. Roman's calm voice, wide shoulders, and eyes gave the impression that he had witnessed the conflict before it started, but his aura was like a storm contained in placid seas. "Roman," Ronda said in an inquisitive yet challenging tone, "WrestleMania is quickly approaching. There is a buzz around the WWE universe. You have represented our industry for many years. However, it feels different this year. Do you feel more pressure than before?" Roman hesitated, tapping his fingers softly on his chair's armrest. Then he said in that deep, thoughtful voice, "Pressure never stops. However, WWE superstar Ronda, I revel in it rather than flee from it. WrestleMania is not a one-night event. It is a legacy. It's family. I'm descended from it. I'm not simply walking down that ramp for myself every time. For centuries past and future generations, I am walking." His statements caused a quiet stir among the studio audience. WWE superstar Ronda narrowed her brows, impressed but not willing to give him a pass. She retorted, "Legacy is one thing, but let's talk about competition. You are facing an opponent that has researched you, is aware of all your moves, and is predicting that tonight will be the night the tribal chief is defeated. How can you get ready for someone who is already determined to destroy you?" WWE superstar Roman now lunged forward, his composure breaking just enough to reveal a burst of flame. He firmly stated, "You can study me all you want. However, learning does not define who you are. No amount of planning can give you the fortitude, heart, and capacity to get back up after every setback. You either have that from birth or you don't, and the world will witness the difference at WrestleMania." His comments resonated with the fighter inside WWE superstar Ronda, who grinned. She briefly had the impression that she was back at her UFC news conferences, with two fighters assessing one another, even if they weren't rivals. "All right," she remarked. "Let me change the question, though. How about fear? Do you ever sense it? Knowing that one mistake may cost you everything, you walk out in front of 80,000 spectators while millions watch from home?" WWE superstar Roman took a while to respond. Rather, he allowed the silence to loom large, controlling the space even in the absence of speech. At last, he gave a slow nod. "There is always fear, but the adversary is not fear. You get sharper when you're afraid. You remain humble because of fear. You've already lost the instant you stop feeling it. However, I take control of my fear when I'm in that ring at WrestleMania, and I transform it into an unstoppable force." The fury inscribed in each word was captured by the cameras as they panned in on his face. Evidently moved, Ronda leaned back. She remarked, "You use fear as a weapon. I can accept that. But let's take a time to talk about ourselves. What do you want your family, your children, to see when they watch you out there?" Roman's features softened significantly at that query. The audience felt the weight of hearing a father, not just a victor, speak as he let out a breath. He declared, "I want them to see strength. Not only physical strength, but the ability to persevere in the face of adversity. Their father never backs down from a challenge, and I want them to know that he remained loyal to himself regardless of the size of the stage or the brightness of the lights." There was silence in the room. Ronda, who is also a mother, nodded respectfully. She continued, half smiling, WWE superstar Roman, you're making me want to take a step back in that ring. Roman's attitude remained unbroken despite the laughter from the audience. Ronda, he said coolly, you know who to call for backup if you ever do. The discussion delved deeper over the course of the following few minutes, covering topics such as his training regimens, the psychological effects of entering a stadium where thousands of people are cheering for or against him, and the toll that years of carrying the WWE on his shoulders have had. WWE superstar Roman never faltered despite Ronda's challenges, pushes, and sometimes taunts. His responses covered life, resiliency, family, and purpose in addition to wrestling. Ronda stated, staring straight into the camera as the interview came to an end, "Here, you've heard it. The Tribal Chief, WWE superstar Roman Reigns, is entering WrestleMania not only with a title at stake, but also with his legacy at stake. One thing is for sure, regardless of your feelings for him, you cannot ignore him." Roman added the last syllable in a strong, quiet voice. "The largest stage is WrestleMania. And the entire world will recognize me once more on that night." The excitement in the air persisted even after the section concluded, even as the studio lights lowered. It was more than a simple interview. It was a statement, a reminder, and an insight into the heart of a man who had grown too big for his own good. But it was an electrifying night. Millions of people watched from across the world as the WWE Universe assembled in one of the largest stadiums in the world, with every seat in the arena occupied. Since this wasn't just any major event, it was history being made. The excitement was at an all-time high. The Tribal Chief and current undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns was facing WWE superstar Ronda Rousey, the baddest woman on the planet, in the squared circle for the first fight ever. Nobody had predicted that this match would even take place. Although WWE men's and women's matches often maintained within mixed taglines, tonight was different. This was about pride, domination, and establishing who really controlled the WWE, not gender. The lights went down. The crowd became silent. Then, as Ronda's theme music blasted, the audience burst into cheers. She emerged with her hood up, her hands clenched like a fighter entering the octagon, her eyes concentrated and icy. Glaring at the ring like it was a battlefield, she smacked the banners of the championship along the ramp. Chants burst out. "Ronda! Ronda!" Roman Reigns' entrance a few moments later caused the noise to increase tenfold. As the Tribal Chief left with Paul Heyman holding his titles and the Usos following, the slow, ominous chords of his theme reverberated. The arena was filled with Roman's serene, authoritative presence. The atmosphere in the room was palpable as the fans jeered and applauded. As though Ronda's approach to him were a joke, he raised his title to the heavens with a look of contempt rather than fear. The bell was rung by the referee. The two went around in circles. WWE superstar Ronda attempted to leverage her experience in mixed martial arts by lunging first and attempting a takedown. With a sly smile, Roman pushed her away with force. The audience let out a gasp. She regrouped, hopped up on her toes, and returned with sharp jabs that hit his chest and ribs. Roman retreated momentarily when he felt the sting. He nodded and murmured, "You're serious." Half of the crowd chanted, "Let's go, Ronda." One half of them chanted, "Roman, Roman." Ronda attempted her trademark armbar one more, but WWE superstar Roman delivered a crushing clothesline that almost turned her over. The crowd moaned as the hit reverberated. Roman raised his palm in the air and summoned his signature Superman punch as he stood erect and gazed down at her. Ronda dodged just in time to catch him as he charged, springing forward. She caught him in mid-stride and slammed him onto the mat after twisting his arm into a judo throw. It exploded in the stadium. As Paul Heyman yelled instructions from ringside, Roman rolled to the outside in exasperation and gripped his arm. WWE superstar Ronda pursued Roman back inside, kicking his legs repeatedly. Each blow undermined the Tribal Chief's face. Roman appeared rattled for the first time. Roman's arm was wrenched back by Ronda's attempt at a hold, but his sheer strength enabled him to lift her up, smack her into the turnbuckle, and thrust her shoulders repeatedly into her belly. He mouthed, "Acknowledge me," while grinning at the camera. However, Ronda got him in a guillotine choke as he spun around. The supporters thought it was over and jumped up. WWE superstar Roman's cheeks flushed as he thrashed, attempting to power out. At last, he was able to raise her up and break the hold with a spine buster that crushed bones. The audience chanted, "This is awesome," as the two superstars laid flat on the mat, unable to breathe. The Usos pulled Ronda's leg from the outside in an attempt to get in the way. Threatening to expel them, the referee screamed. Enraged, WWE superstar Ronda threw herself through the ropes and used a flying crossbody to take down Jimmy and Jay. The audience blew out. However, when she returned to the ring, Roman used the distraction as an opportunity to give her a drive-by kick.
1, 2.
Ronda canceled at the last minute. Roman's expression clouded. In preparation for another Superman punch, he yelled, cocked his fist, and moved to the corner. WWE superstar Ronda dived again, caught his arm, and locked in the armbar as he rushed. The whole arena went crazy. With his hand hovering over the mat, Roman thrashed. At ringside, Paul Heyman was yelling and on the verge of tears. "No, tribal chief. Don't tap. Avoid tapping." Roman's veins widened as he struggled against a grip, somehow using sheer strength to hoist Ronda up and repeatedly bashing her into the canvas until she eventually let go.
They were both worn out now.
WWE superstar Roman stumbled to his feet, struggling to stay upright. Ronda also dragged herself up, gripping her ribs. They exchanged blows as they met in the middle. Roman's forearm, Ronda's jab. Another forearm. With every hit, the audience counted. Ronda finally twisted, caught his arm, and evaded, aiming for the last armbar. Sensing the impossibility of the situation, the crowd let forth a cry. With a howl of rage, however, WWE superstar Roman powered out, whirled her around, and swung a crushing spear. WWE superstar Ronda was folded in two by the impact. She was covered by Roman. 1, 2, 3. The bell rung. The referee held up his hand as Roman fell back, chest heaving. "Here is your winner, the tribal chief, Roman Reigns," the announcer yelled. There were applause, jeers, and stunned quiet as the arena trembled. Rugged but revered, Ronda laid in the ring. WWE superstar Roman held his titles proudly over her, yet even he appeared shaken by his near-death experience. He gave her a nod as though he understood that she had pushed him to the edge. One thing became evident at the end of the show. This was more than just a match.
It was a conflict.
Even if Roman Reigns was still the tribal chief, Ronda Rousey demonstrated that she was worthy of being discussed alongside the most powerful person in WWE history, regardless of gender or weight class. Ronda Rousey's fight with Roman Reigns was a night that the WWE Universe would never forget. Welcome to my channel, lovely viewers. My name is Lima, and I hope you're having a great day. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the video.